New York City, a forest of glass and steel, a symphony of concrete and ambition. From the first rays of sunlight striking the tips of its tallest towers, this city breathes. It's a living entity, shaped not just by architects and engineers, but by the relentless energy of millions. Every single day, a river of humanity flows through its canyons of commerce. Each person, a story. Each face, a reflection of the city's soul. The bridges that stitch its boroughs together are more than just infrastructure. They are arteries, pulsing with the lifeblood of a metropolis that never sleeps. Light trails streak across the water, a testament to its constant motion. Down on the street, amidst the rising steam and the endless chorus of traffic, you can feel its heartbeat. The glass facades of skyscrapers don't just reach for the sky. They mirror it, pulling the heavens down to the pavement. Look up, and you'll see time itself racing across the cityscape as clouds drift and shadows dance, painting the skyline in a perpetual state of change. This is a city of grand scales, an epic of urban design where entire districts move in a coordinated, chaotic ballet. The energy is tangible, a shimmering force field of human endeavor. But for all its monumental scale, the true story of New York is written in the small details. It's in the determined eyes of a commuter, the confident gesture of a hand hailing a cab, the way the wind catches a strand of hair. It's in the subterranean world of the subway, where steel serpents carve through darkness, carrying the city's dreams from one station to the next. From the soaring heights of one world trade, a symbol of resilience, to the intricate network of streets below, every inch of this island tells a part of the tale. Yet, this modern marvel, this icon of the 21st century, did not simply appear. To understand the towers, we must look beneath the pavement, peel back the layers of history, and travel back in time. Before the concrete, before the grid, before the first ship ever reached its shores, what was this island before it was an idea? Let's journey back past the noise and the lights to a time when Manhattan was a whisper, a land of dense forests, winding rivers, and silent shores blanketed in morning fog, a wild green sanctuary known to its first people as Mannahatta, the island of many hills. This was the canvas, a tranquil wilderness teeming with life, untouched by the geometry of streets or the ambition of skyscrapers. It was from this verdant earth that one of the world's greatest cities would slowly begin to rise. The first seeds were planted, not with steel, but with wood and hope, as a small Dutch settlement named New Amsterdam took root on its southern tip. A cluster of houses, a fledgling harbor, and a dream. This is where our story begins. Not with the towers we see today, but long before them.
Yeah, have you ever wondered why New York City looks the way it does? Why it's a forest of skyscrapers reaching for the clouds instead of sprawling outwards like so many other cities. The story of New York's vertical growth isn't just about ambition or architecture. It's a story written in stone, water, and economics, long before the first skyscraper ever touched the sky. To truly understand why New York builds up, we need to go back, way back, and look at the very land beneath the city. The answer begins with the unique geography of this incredible place. What we now call New York City is an archipelago, a cluster of islands at the mouth of a massive river system. At its heart is Manhattan, an island unlike any other. 2. It's long, it's narrow, and it's surrounded by deep, navigable waters. This specific combination of land and water would dictate its destiny for centuries to come. The Hudson River to the west and the East River to the east are UNCS bodies of water. They are natural highways. They connect the Atlantic Ocean to the vast interior of the North American continent. This location was a geographic jackpot. It was the perfect place for a port, a gateway for goods, people, and ideas to flow in and out. From its earliest days, Manhattan was destined to be a center of trade and commerce. But being an island, especially a narrow one like Manhattan, comes with a fundamental limitation: space. You can't just expand outwards forever. To the east and west, there's water. As the city grew, as more people and businesses flocked to this economic hub, the pressure on this finite strip of land became immense. There was only one direction left to go: up. Let's zoom in and look closer at the island itself. It isn't just a flat piece of land. Manhattan has its own topography, its own ridges and valleys, shaped by ancient glaciers, but the real secret to its vertical growth lies deeper beneath the soil and street. Buried under the surface is a foundation of incredibly strong, ancient bedrock known as Manhattan schist. This rock is some of the oldest and hardest on the planet. Think of it as nature's perfect construction material. This layer of schist isn't uniform across the island. In some areas, like Midtown and downtown Manhattan, it comes very close to the surface. In other areas, like the space between them, it dips much deeper, covered by softer soil and glacial debris. This geological map directly corresponds to where the tallest skyscrapers are. It's no coincidence that the two main clusters of giant towers in Midtown and the financial district are built where this super strong bedrock is easily accessible. This bedrock provides an unshakable anchor. Engineers could drill deep and secure the foundations of massive structures directly into this solid rock, allowing them to build higher and heavier than would be possible on softer ground. Without this geological gift, the iconic skyline we know today simply couldn't exist. The schist is the unsung hero of New York's vertical ambition. So, you have an island with limited space, a booming port city attracting more and more people, and a solid rock foundation just waiting to be built upon. This creates a perfect storm for vertical development. As the city's population and economy exploded in the 19th and 20th centuries, the value of land on Manhattan skyrocketed all a day. Every square foot became incredibly precious. When land is this expensive, building a 1- or 2-story building just doesn't make financial sense. The only way to maximize the value of a small plot of land was to build upwards, stacking floors upon floors to house more people and more businesses. This economic pressure, this intense competition for space, was the engine that drove the race to the sky. The higher you could build, the more return you could get on your investment. This cycle fed itself. The city's role as a global port, established early in its history, brought immense wealth. This wealth funded ever more ambitious construction projects. To support this growing metropolis, a revolutionary transportation network was built. Bridges like the Brooklyn Bridge, an engineering marvel of its time, connected Manhattan to the surrounding boroughs. Tunnels were dug under the rivers, and a sprawling subway system was created underground. Each new bridge, tunnel, and subway line funneled more people onto the island, further increasing the demand for space and driving land values even higher. The city became denser and denser. Rocking through the canyons of Midtown today, you can literally feel this pressure. The buildings tower over you, blocking out the sky, a constant physical reminder of the incredible concentration of people, capital, and ambition packed onto this one small island. It's a simple but powerful equation. You take the fixed, limited space of an island, you add the economic engine of a global port and financial center, which creates immense demand and sky-high land values. And you combine it all with the geological advantage of a solid bedrock foundation, which makes building tall feasible. The result is inevitable, a vertical city. Engineering, money, and geography all pointed in the same direction, up. So, the next time you see a picture of the Manhattan skyline or you walk down its busy streets, remember that you're not just looking at buildings. You're looking at the result of a story that began with glaciers, bedrock, and rivers. A story of geography shaping destiny. A story of how a long, narrow island at the edge of a continent became the vertical capital of the world. It's a testament to human ingenuity, born from the very rock it stands on. But this modern cityscape is just the latest chapter. To truly appreciate this transformation, we need to peel back these layers of concrete and steel and travel back in time. Let's dissolve the skyscrapers, let the streets fade away, and see what this island looked like before it was New York. Before the towers, before the trade, before the very idea of a city was even conceived. Let's return to the 1600s, to a lush, green, hilly island known to its native inhabitants as Manhattan, the island of many hills. This is where the story of New York truly begins. Before Wall Street, before the skyscrapers and the yellow cabs, there was a quiet, green island known as Manhattan. In the early 1600s, this land was a pristine wilderness, a world of dense forests, rocky shores, and peaceful rivers cloaked in the soft morning fog. This wasn't an empty land. It was the ancestral home of the Lenape people. For centuries, they lived in harmony with this rich landscape, building their homes called wigwams from bark, crafting tools, and fishing in the abundant waters. Their lives were deeply connected to the rhythms of the seasons and the natural world around them. But this tranquil existence was about to change forever. On the horizon, a new sight appeared: tall-masted Dutch sailing ships. Their sails full in the wind, carrying traders and explorers from a distant world. They arrived at the southern tip of the island, not as conquerors at first, but as merchants seeking opportunity. Soon, a small, bustling outpost began to take shape. This was New Amsterdam. Its first buildings were modest wooden houses with steep, distinctive gabled roofs, a clear echo of the architecture from their homeland. Smoke curled from simple chimneys, and dirt paths wound their way between the new structures. There was no grand plan, no organized grid. The streets of New Amsterdam grew organically, following the natural curves of the shoreline and the contours of the land. You could fly over it. You'd see a chaotic but logical tangle of paths, a layout dictated by practicality, not by design. Imagine walking through this fledgling settlement. The streets are muddy, a constant challenge for pedestrians and horse-drawn carts. The wooden houses stand shoulder to shoulder, creating a close-knit, almost claustrophobic environment. Yet, you'd hear a mix of Dutch Lenape languages and the cries of seagulls from the nearby harbor. Children play in the narrow lanes, and the air is filled with the sounds of construction and daily life. It's a raw, energetic, and completely new world being built from the ground up. Let's look closer at the architecture. Those steep gabled roofs weren't just for show. They helped shed rain and snow and provided extra storage space in the attic. The houses were often a mix of brick and timber, a practical use of local and imported materials. And right there, at the front of many homes, was a simple wooden stupa-raised porch with a few steps. This was the very early ancestor of the iconic New York City stoop, a place to sit above the mud and muck of the street, to watch the world go by, and to connect with neighbors. It was a social space born out of necessity. To protect this valuable trading post, the Dutch built Fort Amsterdam at the very southern tip of the island. It was a sturdy structure with wooden palisade walls, cannons pointing out towards the bay, and the Dutch flag flying proudly overhead. It Fort was the heart of the settlement, its military and administrative center, and the entire community grew up in its shadow. The area around it, especially near the docks, was the economic engine of the colony. It was a scene of constant activity. Traders loaded and unloaded barrels of furs, tobacco, and other goods. Small boats shuttled between the shore and the larger ships anchored in the harbor. Warehouses lined the waterfront, storing the wealth that was flowing through this tiny Dutch outpost. What's truly incredible is that the ghost of New Amsterdam is still with us. If you overlay a map of the modern financial district onto the original street plan of the 1600s, you'll see something amazing. The chaotic, winding lanes of the old Dutch settlement perfectly match the modern streets of Lower Manhattan. Wall Street, Pearl Street, and Broad Street all follow the original paths carved out by those first settlers. The city's financial heart still beats to the rhythm of a 400-year-old layout. Life in New Amsterdam was a blend of the old world and the new. Set-tos cooked their meals over open fires, often right outside their homes. Livestock, like pigs and chickens, roamed freely through the streets. There was always work to be done, mending roofs, tending gardens, and keeping the settlement running. In the distance, the silhouette of a windmill might turn against the sky. Another piece of Dutch technology brought to this new continent. It was a life of hardship, but also one of immense opportunity and constant adaptation. As different cultures and traditions collided and merged in this tiny corner of the world. But the Dutch chapter of this story was destined to be a short one. The strategic and economic importance of New Amsterdam did not go unnoticed. Another European power was watching, ready to claim this prize for itself. Salute. The era of New Amsterdam was coming to a close, and a new identity was about to be forged as the British set their sights on the island. Preparing to transform this small Dutch trading post into the city of New York.
In 1664, the Dutch flag over New Amsterdam was lowered for the last time, making way for the British Union Jack. The city was renamed New York, marking a pivotal moment in its history. This transfer of power wasn't just a political shift, it was a cultural and architectural transformation that would reshape the city's very soul. As British rule solidified, the haphazard, organic layout of the Dutch town began to give way to a more structured and orderly vision. The streets, once winding and narrow, started to see the rise of a new architectural language. Brick Georgian homes with their neatly aligned facades began to line the lanes. A stark contrast to the stepped gabled houses of the previous era. Horse-drawn carts clattered over cobblestones, and pedestrians in British colonial attire filled the sidewalks, their lives unfolding against the backdrop of emerging order and imperial ambition. This was the dawn of Georgian New York. The defining style of this era was Georgian architecture, a design philosophy rooted in the classical ideals of symmetry, proportion, and order, imported from Britain. It reflected the confidence and rationality of the Enlightenment. Look at these beautiful townhouses! Notice their perfect symmetry, the centered doors, the balanced windows, and the clean, unadorned brick surfaces. This wasn't just about building houses, it was about creating a harmonious, visually pleasing streetscape that spoke of stability and refined taste. Let's get closer and appreciate the details! The craftsmanship was exquisite. A typical Georgian entrance featured a decorative crown molding above a sturdy wooden door, often flanked by the multi-pane sash windows were a technological marvel of their time, allowing for better light and ventilation. Polished brass doorknobs and knockers added a touch of elegance, gleaming in the soft sunlight. Every element, from the carefully laid brickwork to the crisp white trim, was designed to convey a sense of understated luxury and classical grace. Religion and civic pride also found expression in the Georgian style. Churches, like St. Paul's Chapel, which still stands today, became prominent landmarks. Their tall, elegant steeples rose gracefully above the surrounding buildings, serving as both spiritual beacons and symbols of the community's prosperity. These structures, with their classical porticos and symmetrical designs, were central to public life, hosting not just services, but also community gatherings and important civic events. Inside a typical British Shira home, the principles of order and symmetry continued. A central hallway often greeted visitors, featuring a prominent staircase that acted as the home's spine. Rooms flowed logically from this central axis. Wooden floors were polished to a warm sheen, and multiple fireplaces provided both heat and a cozy focal point for family life. In the evenings, the soft, flickering glow of candlelight filled these spaces, creating an atmosphere of intimacy and warmth, a private sanctuary from the bustling city outside. As night fell, New York's streets took on a different character. The city was one of the first to introduce public lighting, and the warm, orange glow of oil lamps cast long shadows on the brick buildings. Fog would sometimes drift in from the harbor, shrouding the streets in a moody, atmospheric haze. The silhouettes of late-night walkers and the rumble of a passing carriage created scenes that felt both mysterious and alive. A testament to a city that was active long after the sun went down. Under British control, the port of New York exploded with activity. The natural deep-water harbor, which the Dutch had recognized, was now systematically developed. Docks were expanded and fortified to accommodate larger ocean-going vessels that arrived from across the Atlantic, laden with goods, people, and ideas. The harbor became the city's economic engine. You'd see naval officers in their crisp uniforms inspecting ships, while merchants oversaw the unloading of cargo. This bustling maritime commerce fueled the city's growth and connected it to a global network of trade, making it one of the most important ports in the British Empire. This era also saw the construction of the first major public institutions. Courthouses, city halls, and meeting places were built in the grand Georgian style, often featuring classical columns and imposing pediments. These buildings weren't just functional. They were powerful statements of colonial authority and civic identity. They provided a physical stage for the administration of law, the debate of policy, and the exercise of British power, solidifying the new order in brick and stone. Stepping back, we can see the full picture of British-era New York. It was a vibrant, bustling town, a mosaic of brick-lined commercial streets, shops with hand-painted wooden signs, and homes with tidy gardens. Church steeples punctuated the skyline, constant reminders of faith and community. The energy was palpable, dynamic, mix of commerce, politics, and daily life, all unfolding under the watchful eye of the British Crown. The city was no longer a remote colonial outpost. It was a thriving urban center, a jewel of British North America. But beneath this veneer of imperial order, new ideas were taking root. The very prosperity and intellectual exchange that the British Empire fostered began to sow the seeds of its own undoing. Slowly, subtly, the conversation in the taverns and public squares started to change. A new identity, distinct from that of Mother England, was beginning to form. The same Georgian streets that symbolized British authority soon became the backdrop for rising tension, and revolutionary people gathered to read public notices posted on walls, debating the latest acts of Parliament. Symbols of protest began to appear, subtle at first, then more overt. The mood shifted. The air grew thick with anticipation and dissent. The stage was being set for the next dramatic chapter in the city, a story. The American Revolution. Even as a new nation was forged in the fires of war, the legacy of the British era remained deeply embedded in the city's fabric. The Georgian architectural style, with its emphasis on order, elegance, and classical form, endured. Its principles would heavily influence the succeeding federal style of the new republic. The rows of brick townhouses, the graceful churches, and the stately public halls became a permanent part of New York's architectural DNA. They stand today as silent witnesses to a time of profound transformation, a physical link to the colonial past that shaped the metropolis of the future. As the 18th century drew to a close, the visual landscape of New York began to change once more. The restrained elegance of Georgian design evolved, giving way to the American federal style, which embraced grander classical elements like domes and monumental columns. It was a style for a new, ambitious republic. The story of New York's architecture is a story of the city itself, always building, always adapting, always reaching for the future.
New York City did not become a global icon overnight. New York City did not become a global icon overnight. It's a story etched into every street, every block, every single decision that shaped the metropolis we know today. Look closely, and you'll see how this city was built, layer upon layer, transforming from a dense forest into a bustling center of the world. What began as a modest colonial town has grown, expanding relentlessly into a complex, ever-changing urban landscape, from the first Dutch settlements and the structured British streets to the early American civic buildings that declared independence. The city's DNA was being written. The famous grid was laid down, and with it, the iconic brownstones began to emerge, creating the neighborhoods we still walk through. It's a living history, a constant morphing of past, present, and future. And even now, the city carries its past in every stone, every stoop, and every silhouette against the sky. You can trace the architectural eras just by looking around, from the simple timber houses of New Amsterdam to the elegant Georgian brick homes and the stately columns of the federal style. The grid itself tells a story of ambition, while the endless rows of brownstones speak of community and aspiration. It's all here, woven into the very fabric of the city. But this is only the beginning of the story. As the sun sets and the city lights flicker on like a galaxy of stars, one chapter closes and another prepares to open. This incredible transformation from a horizontal town to a vertical wonder was just setting the stage for what was to come next. The blueprints and old maps hold the secrets to a new era, one of unprecedented ambition, groundbreaking engineering, and towering dreams. In the next part, we'll enter that new era. We'll explore the rise of cast iron, a material that revolutionized construction and allowed architects to think bigger than ever before. We'll witness the birth of the skyscraper, a uniquely American invention that would forever define the urban skyline. And we'll experience the moment New York first reached for the clouds, beginning its ascent as a city of giants. The story isn't over yet. The most dramatic chapter is just about to unfold. Join us in the next episode as we continue this incredible journey through the architecture of New York. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss part 2.